Welcome to this module, this lesson for the Introduction to Solidity Programming and Introduction to Blockchain. In this lesson, we are going to discuss the history of blockchain. So far, we have had an introduction to blockchain and blockchain applications. And now we are going to discuss ledgers. So if you think about it, if somebody said to you, what are the top inventions that have really impacted and advanced society? Chances are a ledger may not occur to you immediately. However, though, ledgers are, in many cases, what enable trade. Trade between individuals, trade between villages, and trade between nation states. So if we think about how a ledger works, transactions are only added to a ledger. If money is added to any user's account, it is entered into a ledger. No entries are added or changed on the ledger or removed. This is quite different from how centralized databases work. Balances are calculated by summing up the transactions. Although quite simple, ledgers have greatly impacted society. In prehistoric times, people didn't own much more than they could carry. But once humanity advanced into the agricultural age, suddenly people were producing more than what they need. It was in these times record of ownership or ledgers came into existence. Once people knew and could prove what they owned, this facilitated trade. And then when the double entry ledger was invented, that made it possible to facilitate trade using third parties to maintain the ledger for two or even more parties. This type of ledger facilitated trade not only between villages, but between nations. Trade between nations led to more technology and discoveries. And this also gave rise to financial services, banks, insurance services, and you can imagine how the list grows. Today, we consider blockchains as triple entry ledgers. So there is an input amount, an output amount, and also a mathematical pointer to the next block. Once on the blockchain, transactions are written into a file called a block. And block sizes are usually limited to prevent one-way blocks. And a lot of times you see a block size limited to about 1 megabyte. After about 25 transactions, the miners begin to validate the block. And blocks are only added to the blockchains. Blocks are never removed. If a block could be updated, there would be no way to trust it. One of the big issues that blockchains had to solve early on was double spending. Obviously, with physical cash, double spending is not a problem. But on any kind of ledger system, particularly one like a blockchain, steps had to be taken to be sure that double spending could not happen. So you can see here, we could take a closer look about how blockchain transactions and how double spending is prevented. So we see here Sam has one N coin. He attempts two purchases with the N coin, creating two transactions. But what happens is, as these pending transactions are examined, only one transaction is approved. The other is declined. So here we talked about the function of a ledger and how ledgers advance society. We looked at the double spending problem, and we looked at the nature of a block. So just read through this assessment. What is the basic functionality of a ledger? As ledgers advanced, did they help society advance? So please take a look at these assessment questions and take a look at the answers. And again, these are additional resources. For more information, please check your learning packet. In the next section, we'll be looking at blockchain structure and types.